So I'm a pretty big wuss when it comes to horror movies. I typically avoid this genre as much as possible, but I know there's a lot of great films in this genre, so I'm trying to be brave and branch out and watch some of them. So today I'm going to watch the 1979 Stephen King adaptation, Salem's Lot. I know it's based on a Stephen King book, that's all I really know about it. I've seen some other Stephen King adaptations and I've really enjoyed those films. I think he's a very talented writer, and for the most part the adaptations have been really well done. I don't know anything about the plot, I don't know anything about the cast. Salem's Lot, I don't really know what to go off of by the title. For some reason it makes me think of like Pet Sematary, maybe just because there's like a specific location involved, but I don't know what this film is about. So thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for horror movies you think I should watch, please comment below. And if you want to have a say in what TV shows or movies I watch, please join Patreon. And if you're ever curious about what kind of gear I'm using or what's on the bookshelf, I've included a link in the description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so the water turned like blue and started like swirling. Is Salem, does that have anything like about the witch trials? Like Salem obviously has connections to that, but that's all, that's the only guess right now. Fred Willard, okay, I recognize that name. I don't think I've seen him in anything when he was younger. I think I've only seen him as like the dad or the grandpa character. Oh, okay, Tobe Hooper, that name sounds familiar. I think he was, he definitely directed another movie I watched. Life Force, I believe. But I've definitely seen his name before. And yeah, again, taking place in Maine, something that's very common within Stephen King. The house is kind of giving me like Psycho vibes, like it looks very much like the house on the hill from the film Psycho. It's a relatively small town, 2,000 people.
You remember? Thank you very much.
Okay, so he was trying to buy that house that was on the hill that we saw earlier.
I'm not a stranger.
Okay, so he's a writer and seems to have some kind of connection to the town, particularly that big house. Maybe he grew up there or something like that. This guy's reminding me of a character in Phantasm. This guy doesn't seem concerned that someone's just like hanging out in his driveway late at night, like something suspicious. And they said that that house had been sitting empty for like 20 some years, and now this guy showed up to town and bought it.
The evil, sitting there all these years, holding the essence of evil in that smoldering bone.
I'm assuming that's the house on the hill?
Right, real good.
Is he like writing his like childhood autobiography or something? Like, he definitely seems connected to that house.
How long will you be staying?
We'll see how that goes.
You a slow rider? Hope it's a long book.
Is the book long? I have no idea. Oh, smooching! Was this actually filmed in Maine? Comment below and let me know.
Alright, honey.
Haha!
I forgot.
Okay, so these two are having an affair, I'm guessing, and she calls him honey around the office, and he is like, oh, yeah, I need to stop doing that.
Getting warmer!
I like that they're like exploring some of the other characters of the town, and we're learning more about them, like how this guy is married to the lady who runs the boarding house that Ben's staying in.
I'm really pleased that I can always call on you.
Aww.
That you can.
Okay, so he wants to lock the house up with giant padlocks and so people can't get in?
Mr. Barlow? Oh, I've told you, you should be meeting him soon, very soon, Mr. Crockett, and I'm sure that you'll find it a pleasure.
This elusive Mr. Barlow, I don't think he exists. Suspicious. Always suspicious about an old-timey antique store. Is that Mr. Barlow? That skull? Gah. This is an interesting frame. Like the composition of the shot. It definitely has like a slower pace, like they're setting things up, and I'm curious to see what's gonna happen with this house.
Wouldn't leave a dog in there.
He's alright. He go to sleep in a while. He's a good old dog. Faithful, come on.
Okay, so these two are going to pick up a sideboard, if that's actually what's happening or what the actual delivery is going to be for the guy who owns the antique shop and also has the house, the Marston house. Oh gosh. Oh, something in the cemetery killed the dog? What? Suspicious. Yeah, and the caretaker for the cemetery says he's like, I don't hang out here at night because that's when they're here, implying like the spirits or the ghosts or whatever's roaming the cemetery late at night. Ugh. Yeah, and he didn't go pick it up himself. He said he had to go to Boston, but whether or not that's true, I don't know.
Your curly little ear that'll make your hair stand up.
Oh my, such promises. And her husband's just like waiting outside. I don't think that's gonna end well.
I think I saw Hubie Marston hanging by his neck.
Oh.
And then he opened his eyes.
What?
Me.
What?
Looked at me. The man who built that house. Yeah, Joshua Vaughn killed his wife and a servant.
Oh, God.
Hubie Marston. But if a house attracts evil men, why did it attract me?
That's a good question. Okay, so he snuck into this house when he was a teenager, and when he walked in, he saw a ghost of this guy who lived in the house. Huey Marston was hanging himself, and the ghost came to life, and his eyes opened and scared the crap out of young Ben, obviously. Okay, so it doesn't sound like he used to live there. It sounds like he just has this memory of being there and being terrified and seeing these ghosts. Yeah, and they said the house had a history of terrible things happening to it, like the owner of the guy who built the house, his wife passed away and he ended up killing himself in the house as well. So, and then I thought he brought up an interesting point of, can the house itself be evil? So I'm curious to see how that pans out.
No. Hey, I'm going.
Town had a history of young boys going missing. And that, yeah, they said like the Mr. Barlow character that we haven't met yet, like does that have any relation to the house? Ah! The sideboard they said was feeling very cold, which seems strange considering it's not, it shouldn't have a temperature basically, or it shouldn't have a cold temperature anyway.
You haven't noticed the time when the boys left? Oh, you did? They should have been here half an hour ago.
Yeah, those two brothers that were hanging out with Mark.
The boy said anything to him. You know how kids are.
They're the ones that one of them got something tall and scary came out of the woods, and where's your brother?
Faithful.
Oh shoot, and I was gonna see his dog that passed away. Oh. Yeah, they were supposed to put the padlocks on, not just chuck him down the stairs, but they got freaked out. What are we doing here? That's what he had to get in Boston? Oh, the thing broke out of the box? What? Not very graceful, whatever's in there. I'm guessing that's the thing that attacked the little boy in the marsh. Oh my gosh. Well, now it's loose. Is that Mr. Barlow? Why does he have the little boy? Oh my gosh. What? What the heck? What is he doing? He's just like leaving it out there as like a sacrifice or something? Like, what are we doing here? That's so awful. Ah!
Good boy. Now hold it up in front of your face.
Oh my goodness, this guy.
Hold it steady. Steady, Larry.
This is so messed up, making him hold the gun that's pointing at his face. Yikes.
See how much self-control you can have? It's terrific.
I really hope she's calling the police. Oh my gosh. Yeah, run, run. Whoa! Yeah, it looked like a claw, like it had long fingernails and stuff, like, Yeah, what's he doing? So that monster put him in his own car and he just drove to the lake? What? Oh my gosh. That's terrifying. Just like the little scratches at the window. Oh, nightmare. Nightmare fuel. Is that his friend? What? Oh, that sound. Ah, I hate it. Just this ghost floating at the window, scratching. I've noticed like ghosts in Stephen King movies. Like in Pet Sematary, they just took on a human form, but were very pale and wore, you know, like disheveled clothing and stuff like that. Something strange in the neighborhood.
You cried at home one night.
Yeah, ever since that shipment arrived, whatever was in that crate, things have been getting spooky.
That's a familiar Italian expression meaning goodbye.
I didn't know you're Italian.
I'm not. The word is.
Now they're asking to look at those black suits. Oh, what? The ghost just bit him on the neck like a vampire? What? I'm very curious, like the claws that creature thing had definitely seemed vampire-y. And yeah, if he only comes out at night, obviously that's another vampire characteristic. He's very pale. Maybe he's not a ghost, maybe he's a vampire, I don't know.
Goodbye. Constable.
Okay, so they're sending the suits off to the FBI in Bangor to get them tested and see if they have anything suspicious on them. I don't know what they'd really be looking for, but see what they find, I guess. Yeah, and he's like, I'm an outsider, that's why you're suspecting me of these things. I'm a little bit different. So Danny obviously died after that thing bit him on the neck or whatever was going on, and we never really found out what, they weren't really able to diagnose him with anything at the hospital. The closest thing they came up with, it seemed like would have happened too quickly for it to make sense. So yeah, definitely something suspicious going on. I hope we learn more about, like, they briefly mentioned some of the things that happened at the haunted house, the Marsden house, and I'm curious to see if they talk about that more, or if they probably explore that more in the book, I'm assuming. Oh my gosh, what is he doing? What's going on? Ah! Whoa, the zoom in, so cheesy. Okay, so they are vampires? Oh, and he just bit the caretaker of the graveyard? Oh my gosh, they're going to have to update that population sign. Yikes.
Yeah. Miss you too.
Yeah, and if they are vampires, that might explain why when Ben broke into the house when he was younger and he saw that guy open his eyes, because he wasn't actually dead, he was a vampire.
To me, Mike, I want you to stay at my house tonight.
I don't think that's a good idea. Nope.
Arrange to see Dr. Norton tomorrow.
Yeah, he spent the night at the graveyard. He vaguely remembers these eyes that were staring at them, which were Danny's, but he doesn't correlate that was what happened or that he got bit. He said he's not feeling good this morning. Yeah, and now he sees Danny at his window.
Open the window.
Don't do it. Oh, that scratching is gonna haunt my dreams forever. Ugh.
No, Mark. Please. Let me in. It's okay, Mark. I'm your friend.
Yeah, it's really cool the way their eyes are and his big teeth. Yeah. Oh gosh. Can you imagine if your dead friend shows up at your window like, "Hey, buddy, let me in." But Mark's into like horror movies and monsters, so will he know? Yeah, maybe he knows better. Yeah, if you don't invite a vampire in, they can't come in. Oh, his cross. Oh, that makes sense now why they're in Mexico getting holy water if vampires are involved.
Go away.
Yeah, he's figured it out. He's a smart kid. Okay, yeah, so now Mark knows that people are turning into vampires, and I don't know what if he's gonna warn people, if he's gonna try and tell anyone. I don't know who would believe him, but at least now he knows what's going on or what happened to his friend. I'm guessing this was a longer book. Ah! What the heck? Rude. So rude. Oh my gosh, what? Run. Run away now. He's just sitting in this rocking chair. Oh my god, that's so creepy. You literally watched him be taken out in a body bag earlier today, so scoot. What are you gonna talk to him about, man? Ah, the eyes. Yeah, and because he had invited him into his house.
Sleep like the dead, teacher.
Oh, bye. Where'd he go? Heart attack now? Oh my gosh. No, he survives a vampire and then gets a heart attack. Yeah, call for help. Call for help. A rotary phone too, man. That's gonna take a while. Okay. Late night visitor. Ah! Whoa! Oh god! That was so creepy. That's the first time we've seen like an up close face of the vampire. Ah, but like those big yellow eyes, and I haven't seen Nosferatu, but it kind of looks like the character from Nosferatu, which is obviously another vampire character, but that was so creepy, and just those quick flashes. Oh god, what's this?
He comes back and he says, "Mommy, Mommy, I'm so glad to be home."
Oh gosh.
Babe.
Oh, that'd be so heartbreaking to lose both your sons, obviously. Or they never even found the other one, did they? I don't think so.
Found him dead this morning in town jail. Dad examined him. Pernicious anemia.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what Danny happened as well.
High blood pressure. And Danny's mother died this afternoon.
Oh gosh. Yeah, pernicious anemia, if I'm saying that correctly, but it kind of sounds like what I'm assuming is massive blood loss or something that would happen from a vampire. I don't really know, but that's as much as they can diagnose them, because they're obviously not assuming medically that it would be a vampire attack. Oh, the light's flickering. That's always a sign. Bonked him. He just headbutted his parents. Mark!
You can do nothing against the master.
What the frick?
I'm going to kill you.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and Mark's parents are dead now. And this priest is sacrificing himself for Mark. Yeah, and he's so creepy. They're just calling him the master. Oh. But like the makeup and the special effects look really cool. He's making a cross out of tongue depressors in case she springs to life.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
Ah! Oh, it was like green inside? What? Oh, ooh, cross to the forehead. Good. I'm melting. Oh, and she just disappears. Yeah, and they said that Straker is like the watchdog, basically. Like, he makes sure they have a place that's safe and can obviously go out during the daytime. And then Barlow goes around doing his vampire evil doings.
Dreamed about Ned coming to see him.
Yep. Yeah. That's how it starts. Oh, shoot. That's what they think.
Kissing me on my neck.
I don't think those were kisses. Yeah, so the town's just slowly becoming more and more infected, and everybody they meet seems to have these dreams and will eventually become a vampire. Yeah, we haven't even seen inside this house yet. We've seen the basement a little bit, but that's about it. I like what they've done with the place. Yeah, they obviously just wanted like an old secluded house. They weren't actually planning on living there like permanently or anything like that. Oh god, that fast like walking sound. Oh, something's up there. Oh god. Oh, that's a cool shot. Oh, Mark's walking around upstairs and she can't see him. Quite the taxidermy collection. I'm glad we're finally able to see inside the house. I wasn't sure if we'd go the whole movie without seeing inside. It's very creepy and spooky. I'm curious if they found it. Ah! If they found an abandoned house or if they had one built. Oh no! What did he do to Mark?
What did you do to her?
I've taken her to where she wished to go.
What? What does that mean? Why is he talking in riddles?
She came here to me.
Oh no 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 no! Come on, Mark, you can get out of handcuffs, you can get out of this. Yes, come on. So he took Susan to go meet the master? What?
It is holy water.
Yeah, the priest, I don't think he'll be making it to service because I think he got vampired. Gah. I don't fancy meeting you here. Whoa, that's a cool shot. Whoa, you just picked him up? What? No, no, no. Oh, God, you just put him on like a wall of antlers, like hung him up. Gah. Gross. What the frick, man? It's like no one gets in my way. Oh, is that even gonna do anything? I don't know. He says he's human, but like, he seemed to also be incredibly strong, which I know is sometimes the characteristic of vampires. Oh, will he make it to the last step? This guy, Michael Myers, like he's been shot like 6 times. Oh, what kind of mess is this? 2 stairs? Cheese and crackers. That's my nightmare. He just lunged himself off the stairs. Yeah, there's the coffin. Oh my gosh. Just the other vampires laying around. What happens if they all wake up? Also, these two look like they could be father and son. If he thinks the evil like lives in the house, why wouldn't he just like burn the house down or something, you know? Like he had a theory that evil could exist in like the beams and the foundation. I mean, vampire in the root cellar is not far off either, but... Ah! Oh, God.
Hey, look at him!
Oh, rude. I don't think he had to push him that hard. Jeez. Ah! Oh, bonked him. Oh god, you can see all the other vampires slowly waking up. They're crawling towards Mark. Ah! Get out of the way, Mark! Get out of the way! Oh, that's such a cool shot, but so creepy. Yeah, exactly. Bye. Enjoy life in the root cellar. Oh, that's so cool, but so creepy. Oh, that's such a cool shot. They're just showing like all the decay. Where's Susan? And how his jaw just like clicks open. Oh God. I'm guessing Susan didn't make it. I don't know. Okay, now they're burning the house down. Okay. Yeah, so he said it'll draw out the other vampires in town. Yeah, and those who survive the fire are going to be on the run looking for Mark and Ben. Is she escaping? What?
Another one has found us.
If the holy water starts glowing, that means they found you? Susan? What? She's the one that found them? Ah, Ben, come on. You just spent like 2 years running away and trying to avoid vampires, and now you're gonna become one. What's gonna happen to Mark? Oh. Oh no, poor Ben. He should have killed his lady. He's like, why did you have to find me? Whoa, and the mood fades into an image of the vampire skull. Ugh. The soundtrack was really good. So that was my first time watching the 1979 Stephen King adaptation of Salem's Lot. It wasn't my favorite out of the Stephen King movies that I've seen so far. I definitely noticed some similarities between this film and other Stephen King films that I've seen, taking place in Maine, and having a character that was an author or a writer. I've seen those in other Stephen King films. I'm assuming it was a rather lengthy book. I haven't read the book, but the film was over 3 hours long, so I'm curious how close to the movie the book it relates. I haven't read the book, so comment below and let me know, is the movie just a straight page for page copy and they just did exactly as the book is, or did they take some creative liberties and go a different direction? I'm not sure. And even with the ending, I don't know if there's sequels. Let me know. From what we saw, Mark and Ben had been on the run for a few years, and they were trying to avoid these vampires, and unfortunately Susan ended up finding them and Ben killed her. I was worried Ben was going to turn into a vampire, which seemed like going against everything he had stood for up until this point, but then they can just continue to be on the run. So I don't know if there's a sequel to the book even, or if there's a sequel in the film where it picks up more with Mark and Ben on this journey of the two of them trying to maybe even fight more supernatural things, or just trying to avoid these vampires until they eventually take them all out. I recognized only a few people. I recognized Fred Willard, who I've seen. He's been in tons of movies, but usually as a dad or a grandpa or an older character. I think this is the earliest movie that I've seen him in, but I really enjoy his performances, so it was great to see him in this. And then Tobe Hooper was the director, who I believe also directed Life Force, so I recognized his name. Our two main villains in this film were two guys that had just moved to town. Well, we only met one of them first, this Straker guy, who's opening an antique store in this small town, and I don't know if the antiques were somehow related to the vampire or what his plan was with that, but or if it was just a front, so they're like, hey, we have to have a reason for being here, so we'll open an antique store and that will be our cover for doing our vampire evil doings. And then everybody kept asking about his business partner, Mr. Barlow. When's Mr. Barlow getting here? And it put lots of suspicion on this character as he just kept putting it off and saying, oh, like he'll be here tomorrow or he'll be here, you know, in a while, and just kept avoiding the question. And then we find out Mr. Barlow is in fact this vampire who seems to be a very old vampire, as they refer to him as the master at one point, and even the way like his teeth were shaped, like the newer vampires had just the two fangs on the side and his were like really in the front. When he arrives, they pretend that he's a shipment of a sideboard, and then they're supposed to lock up his crate, and they don't, and he escapes and just starts wreaking havoc on the town basically. I thought it was a really interesting idea to have them knock on the window, and then these people all start having these dreams before they turn into a vampire themselves. That's usually the first sign that they were in fact bitten, is that somebody visited them. What they thought was a dream was in fact a vampire visiting them at night. And just the scratching on the windows, oh god, just made my skin crawl. It was so creepy, but a really clever idea. And I've noticed in Stephen King films that And Pet Cemetery specifically, when there was a dead body, it stayed a dead body. It didn't cut like, I'm a ghost, and it was like half opacity or something like that. Like it was still had a human form, which was played a part in this film as well. All the vampires were still humans, just with makeup and like a little bit of special effects. And then when Danny shows up at Mark's house, luckily Mark is into horror movies and monsters and stuff like that, and is able to recognize the signs of a vampire and knows not to let them in, and to, you know, puts a cross up to the window. But yeah, just such a creepy interaction to see your friend that you know has passed away come knocking at your window late at night and has these vampire teeth and the eyes. If you look them in the eyes, then apparently that was sealed your fate. The whole town slowly just gets taken over by these vampires as they multiply and then seek out new vampires to make. Unfortunately, Mark's parents died, and that kind of fuels his revenge against this master, Mr. Barlow, so that he can avenge his parents' death. And now Ben is kind of, I'm assuming, his like adoptive dad, as he doesn't really have any other adults in his life that he trusts and is aware of the situation. I don't know how you would explain the situation to anybody anyway. And Mr. Barlow being our evil villain, basically, you don't even see him on screen for very long, and he doesn't officially show up on screen until I think like over 2.5 hours in. Like it's a really long time of setting it up, and you just kind of see like a hand or over the shoulder or something like that. But when he's in Ned's jail cell and you see his full face for the first time, and even then it's a quick few flashes, it's nothing super long. It definitely reminded me of the images I've seen from Nosferatu. I haven't seen the movie yet, but the images I've seen with like a bald, tall man with like those very, very pointy teeth and even like the elongated face. So I don't know if that's where the inspiration came from, but it definitely reminded me of that. And yeah, it was kind of interesting how he didn't have that much screen time, but was still the main villain throughout the entire film. Ben was able to kill Straker and Mr. Barlow and sets this house on fire. And also I originally thought that Ben had grown up in the house. I don't know if he ever finished his book. That was his whole motivation for coming to this town, was to write a book about this house that he had a very creepy experience in as a kid. Like I said, I thought he had grown up there, but he said his aunt worked there, and then when he was younger, he snuck in and saw this guy who appeared to be hanging himself and opened his eyes, which now thinking back, I'm like, okay, maybe it was a vampire who was coming back to life. I like that they took the time to set up some of the other characters in town as well. We got to meet Susan and her family, and then Ben met up with an old high school teacher that was a huge mentor of his. And then we saw a real estate agent when Ben's trying to rent out this old house. And then it even played up a little bit of a dynamic between how the real estate agents and the secretary were having an affair, and the husband finds out, and there's a scene between them. So it was a nice, like, full encompassing story of the people and the lives that they were living within this town. One of my favorite things about Stephen King films is that he seems to, obviously in his books, gives all the characters like a backstory, and like I said, I think that comes through in the taking the time to create these narratives for the other townspeople. It could have just been Ben showed up and done his thing and that's it, and we wouldn't have met anybody else, but I think this makes it a more well-rounded story, and you get to know everybody a little bit, and you care about the town a little bit more. It was a very small town. I think it said like 2,013 people or something like that. I thought Ben had an interesting theory about how can a house become evil, like the physical, like timbers and concrete that are holding the house up, can that become evil? If enough horrible things happen in a place, do the spirits and the energy from those events transfer to physical things? I thought that was a super interesting theory. Or is it just that people believe that that's what happened, and then they give that belief power, basically, like, okay, well, horrible things have happened in this house, clearly something is wrong with that house? Or is that all just superstition and made up, and it's literally just wood and it holds no context, and it just only has power when people give it power, basically? But I thought that was a super interesting concept. Even before Ben knew about this vampire, he was like, okay, something is wrong with this house. He had associated all the evil doings to the physical house itself, and they did a brief history of the house, and they mentioned that the first person who built it and lived there, that he passed away, and his wife and child also passed away, and then it just seemed to snowball that, and like every family that lived there had something horrible happen to them, and that also young boys in town had gone missing. So I'm curious to know whether it was a vampire who was in the house from day one, or if a vampire was just attracted to this house because it was a remote location and they were able to do whatever they wanted basically without being caught or having suspicion drawn on them. I'm assuming the book goes more into depth about the history of the house and maybe more details about the events and what happened to the families and stuff that live there. I'd be curious to know if more of that comes up into play, if there is sequels or if there is different versions. They burned the house to the ground at the end, so now the house is no longer physically standing. And I thought it was interesting how Ben said evil attracts evil. We find out that Ben had in fact moved away from Salem's Lot when he was 10 or 11 or something like that, and then he moved back to write the book. So does that make him evil if he's drawn to this evil story? So I thought that was an interesting aspect to it as well. But thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for horror movies you think I should watch, please comment below. And if you want to have a say in what movies or TV shows I watch, be sure to join Patreon. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. Is that Mr. Barlow? Ah! Oh, that scratching is gonna haunt my dreams forever. Always suspicious about an old-timey antique store. You literally watched him be taken out in a body bag earlier today. He just headbutted his parents. Put him on like a wall of antlers, like hung him up. Gah. I mean, vampire in the root cellar is not far off either.